This is part 2 of the RX Renewal video series. This video will cover change requests, basic troubleshooting, and will also cover how to set up your custom view for RX renewals. Remember, to access RX renewals, go to the Chart, Chart Desktop, and RX Renewal section. Use the magnifying glass to search for the provider. This renewal contains a change request from the pharmacy. A pharmacy may send a change request for a drug change or prescription clarification, generic substitution, or to request prior authorization. Open and review the patient's chart by clicking here, or start the RX renewal document. The renewal document brings you directly to the new prescription form. Even though this change request is coming from CVS Pharmacy, the patient has multiple pharmacies listed in her chart. You will have to select the pharmacy that you're sending the response to. Under the Pharmacy Change Request tab, view the details about the request by clicking on the medication. Keep in mind that this is a testing database, hence the request for a change to Coca-Cola syrup. Click outside of the box to make it go away. The recommended change can be selected or edited in the drop-down below the medication. Click the pencil to edit the change request or to change the medication. Click here to approve the change request. Now that the request has been addressed, sign the prescription now and complete the review, or simply end and sign the note and complete the RX review as your last step. Now let's move on to RX renewals for multiple providers. Remember that renewal requests can contain multiple prescriptions now. This means that the RX renewal could contain 2 requests for 2 different providers. Upon starting the RX renewal document, you will immediately be notified that there are requests for multiple providers. You are only able to address the request for one provider in a document. To address the request for your provider, you can ignore the request for the other provider by clicking the eye icon. Even though we are going to ignore the request for Dr. Freiberg, it will still be visible under his RX renewal section. Now that the second prescription has been ignored, we're ready to address the prescription for our provider. Remember, if the patient has multiple pharmacies listed in their chart, you will have to select the appropriate pharmacy. Once the pharmacy has been selected, you can approve, edit, or deny the renewal request. In this case, we have approved the renewal. Now we'll end and sign the document and complete the RX review. Now that we've covered the basics, let's go over some basic troubleshooting. Let's say that Ms. Test called in for a refill of her meloxicam. We're going to go ahead and start a phone note and go to the prescription form. Notice the Renew button is grayed out. This patient has multiple pharmacies listed in her chart. Therefore, we're going to have to manually select the pharmacy that we're going to send this prescription to. Once we have selected the prescription, we can now click the Renew button. If a patient only has one pharmacy listed in their contacts, it will be defaulted automatically. To continue on the topic of troubleshooting, let's take a look at this issue when the prescription isn't showing up in the text of the office note. If the medication is added via the medication buttons at the top of the office visit, the medication will not show up in the text of the office note. Let's take a look. Notice it just enters the prescription form. It doesn't state what prescription we have added. Now, If we go back and click on the actual prescription form, and then go back and take a look at the text of the note, it does write to the note. So with that said, if a medication is added with one of the buttons at the top, you will have to physically touch the prescription form for the medication to show up in the text of the note. Whether you're approving a new medication or a refill authorization, use the prescription form so the medication will show up in the text of the note. Authorize a refill by clicking the Renew button, or enter a new medication by clicking here to update medications.
This video will cover setting up the multiple prescriber view in prescription renewals. This workflow is helpful even if you only assist one provider, so you don't have to use the magnifying glass to search each time. Set up multiple prescriber view. Rather than using the magnifying glass to search for the provider each time, create a drop-down list. Follow these steps to create an easy access list for prescription renewal. Select the magnifying glass. Select More. Select New Group and name the folder. Select the Search tab and search for prescribers. Select a provider and select Add Item. Select the new group. You have just added a new prescriber to the new group. You can see that your provider is in your group. To add a new prescriber, repeat the following steps. Select the Search tab. Search for another provider. Select Add Item. Select your group name. You have just added an additional provider to your group. Here you can see both of your providers have been added to your group. Make sure that under the Browse tab, your new folder is selected and click OK. You can now view your providers in the drop-down list.
Super users have been designated for each practice. If you need assistance, please contact your super user.